Saxon Algebra 1, Lesson 13. Greetings, my students. We are going to add to the drama with our order of operations problems. And specifically what we're going to do is have multiple, what are called symbols of inclusion. So parentheses and brackets and more parentheses, little pointy things. They're fancy brackets. And so what we have to do is we have to be very careful about making sure we see where the open and close is of the different shapes. And we have to work within those symbols of inclusion accordingly. Okay, so we have three different shapes. 1, 2, 3. And we see, let's see, these open and close, open and close. Then here's the other square one, and then there's the other pointy one. So how do we attack these? We go into the belly of the beast, you guys. We try to find the innermost set. And the way John does it, and most mathematicians do, is just the basic rounded parentheses. Those are used in the belly of the beast, is the best way I can think of it. They're in the middle, right? There's one there, and there's one there. And then these squared off ones, they're that whole chunk. And then, let's see, I need another color. And then these pointy types, they go all the way out to there. So what we want to do is we want to follow our order of operations, which now I write like this. Symbols of inclusion first, roots and exponents, multiplication and division. Here the x is substituting in for a base. Here the x is meaning multiplication, and then addition and subtraction last. That's my order of operations in symbol form. And again, I prefer this to writing PEMDAS or one of those other little tricks, because this shows me exactly what the symbols are so that I remember to do them properly. So we have identified that these are the innermost symbols of inclusion. So we're going to go to them first, and remember that we're doing any work inside of the parentheses first. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is how you work these out on your paper. Please give yourself a lot of room and white space to write these, because they're not difficult problems, but it's really easy to get turned around and confused. So work with lots of white space, and then what we're going to do is we're going to keep neat columns going down. I've already compromised myself. I'm going to skip all the way down here. But we want to preserve it, because a lot of times people make mistakes because they end up dropping off part of the problem and forgetting about it. That's not going to happen to us, people. Okay, 4, 2, now, inside this first set of parentheses, I'm going to do that. It's minus 3 minus 2, minus 5. Second set of parentheses, I can do the work in there as well. Minus 7 plus 4, I'm down in the meadow, down there among the earthworms, and I'm going to go up toward the light 4 steps, so I'll be at minus 3. And then this, I'm not doing anything with yet because I didn't handle. I was just doing the orange bits. Okay? Now we're ready for the next step, which is we're going to pay attention to what's going inside. It's the square bits. So that is, I used the red before. It goes all of that. So again, I'm sorry, but I need you to do this. I need you to copy the other parts of the problem over again. It's not that bad. And we're going to work this out. Multiplication, and then that's adding a -5 or subtracting. Either way, we want to do the multiplication first, and then we'll do the subtracting. -5 times -3 is positive 15, and then we subtract 5. So this whole red bit comes down to just 10. Okay, that's kind of cool. Glad that worked out. Now we're ready to do, here's my green marker. Now we're ready to do what's inside the pointy parentheses, which is all of this, right? And so we still have 4 on the outside. And now, and that's still the same, we can do what's in here. All this is 2 times 10. Notice how I'm keeping this straight so that I can keep track of the fact that I'm not losing anything. I know it looks kind of weird, but trust me, this will help you prevent silly mistakes. Now we're ready for our final step. We don't have any of these. We're ready to do this multiplication. We can use these other weird shapes to mean multiplication too. So it's 4 times 20 minus 2. So that will then become 80 minus 2, which equals 78. And that's the final answer, and that's correct. Look, you guys, if I wouldn't have done this, I used half a page for that problem. It's okay. I got it right. Don't force yourself to try to squeeze it into a little space. And please don't just scribble. Make neat columns so that you can keep track of your numbers. All right, 13.2. Are you ready? John's going to give us even more drama. If you can imagine, I'm sure you can. Example 13.2. Okay, I'm going to write it. I'm going to skip a few lines and I'm going to write it here. The instructions say to simplify. We look at that much and go, okay, that doesn't look horrible. But here comes the killer. It's a fraction, and that's just the numerator. But the denominator is even simpler. So what I've chosen to do is float this in the middle of my paper a little bit so that I can work up and work down, and I don't have to keep recopying. So when I set these problems up, you guys, the reason I ask you to pay attention is because I'm trying to save you drama, and this will help you, all right? And now those lines that I made, the orange and the red and the green, I'm gonna make them above so that I can see what I'm doing. Now, I look at this and I go, look, this is in the square kind and the round kind. That's just silly. John didn't need to do it that way. He's just trying to drive us crazy. So first we're gonna do these two together. Okay, that'll be the first set. And there's nothing to do inside those brackets. They're all good to go. So then we can jump right to the pointies and we'll be fine. And then when we get to the bottom, we'll do this first and then the whole thing. All right? So that, I like to draw the lines. It helps me keep track of what I'm doing. And you know what? Once you get into the calculations, it's really easy to get disoriented. It's a lot easier when you're looking at the problem to begin with. Okay, so we'll start by simplifying this part. And I'm going to switch to just the square ones because, let me just double check to make sure. Yeah. These two aren't doing anything different. They're just hanging out together. So minus 2 minus 3 is minus 5. And I'm going to copy this part. And I'm going to put these on. And there's nothing at the end there. No. Okay, so this is looking great. I've done that part. Now I'm ready to do the bigger part. And that is, I'll put the 3 here. And then the pointy one on the outside. Minus 5 times minus 2. Oh, that's positive 10, isn't it? And so our denominator, or our numerator rather, comes all the way down to minus 30. What I do is I put a squiggly underneath that. It's not my answer, but it's going to be an important part of my answer. So I don't want to lose that number on my page. Okay, numerator's done. And we didn't have to recopy it to give ourselves space to work. I hate recopying. So now let's go down this way. The minus 3 stays the same, and we can do the work inside. 4 minus 2 is 2, and so this becomes minus 6. That's the other piece we need. So now I'm going to write those two together right here where I've got a lot of room. It's minus 30 on the numerator and minus 6 on the denominator, and we can simplify that. Oh, that's just 5. Positive 5. And that's the correct answer. Whoa. Yay. 78, yeah, that was right. Okay, so fractions don't scare us. Just organize it so that you can work up on the numerator, down on the bottom, and then bring the two pieces together over here. All right. Products of signed numbers. This, I think you guys already have the hang of. Let's just review it. 13.3. What if we're multiplying a fairly long chain of positive and negative numbers? Let's come up with some good strategies for doing this easily and accurately. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. Some are positive, some are negative, some are not marked at all. How do we deal with this? Okay, the first thing we do, step 1, we pay attention to the numbers. Okay, we're just going to ignore the signs altogether, and we're going to look for easy patterns that we can multiply. This I like right here, because there's a 10. And then this is a 12. And then here's a 6. Now, I don't know if you know your 12 times tables, but I kind of do. And 6 times 12 is 72. So I'm going to cross that off, and I'm going to write 10 times 72. So I know that my answer... Oh, John doesn't ask us to do the numbers. I'm sorry. He didn't need us to do the math on this. So step 1 we don't have to do. All we have to do is step 2. Sorry, I'm making it harder. Is find the sign. And here's the easy way to do it. Count the negatives. Ignore the positive. Just count the minus signs. If the answer is odd, then you have a negative number. If the number is even, then your answer is going to be positive. So going back to this one, we see 1, 2 negative signs. So A is going to be a positive answer. Does that make sense? Okay, let's just do them out of the book. We don't need to write all this down. Here is B. I'll use this so we don't get distracted. B, look, some numbers are just plain and some have a positive, but there are 0 negatives, so that answer is going to be positive also. C, 1, 2, 3 of them, right? We only count the negative signs. That one should be negative. Let me check my answers. B is positive. C is negative, and they're giving a reason. I mean, that's cool. D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. That's an odd number, so we're going to end up with a negative answer because there were 5. Yep. And then this last one, this last one is a trick. See that plus sign in there? That throws everything off. This number will be negative because it has 3 minus signs, and this number will be negative. But the rule doesn't apply because there's an addition sign in there. All right? It looks like it'll probably be negative, but unless we calculate the numbers, we can't be sure. So this rule that we're talking about with the evens and the odd number of signs, that only works when it's all multiplication. Once you start adding or subtracting the terms, all bets are off. All right? That is the end of this lesson. Notice that you've got some of those big honkin' order of operations, and then you've got a few of these to do as well. Remember, an odd number of negative signs means it's negative. An even number means it is positive. Yay, lesson 13 is done. Wonderful. Let me give you guys a reminder that I need to check in with you every Friday. My office hours are between noon to 3 p.m. Okay, you can call me anytime in there, any video chat platform, Facebook, Messenger, FaceTime, Nobody's used WhatsApp yet. Nobody's used Zoom yet. But anything that, any video chat platform, I'll try to accommodate. That's when I need to hear from you. 5 to 10 minutes. If I don't answer, that means I'm talking to another student, and I will pick up I'll call you back as soon as I'm done. If you have not been doing this, I need you to start doing this. If Fridays are hard for you, I am also available Thursday, but here's the hitch. By appointment only. So if you want to talk to me on Thursday, that's totally cool, but that means you have to reach out to me, or have your mom reach out to me, that's fine too. But somebody needs to reach out to me and say, hey, I want to connect with you on Thursdays for my check-in instead of Fridays, and I'll say, cool, what time, and we'll work it out. And it can be a standing appointment that you use every week. So make sure you're doing either the Friday check-ins or you're checking with me on Thursday. I can't wait to talk to you, and we'll have a good chat about lesson 13. No, we won't. Well, maybe we will. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.